All right, today is Monday, June 9th, 2025. I am H. Robert Silverstein, MD, not dressed in my stethoscope or white jacket. And we're going to talk about quite a few things today. Of course, one of the points that I would make is that the main disorders of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, hardening of the arteries, stroke, what's called claudication, which is cramps in the legs when you walk a particular distance, are almost entirely preventable and largely reversible. I am always astounded when patients come to me as a cardiologist that they have never been told that their high cholesterol is curable, their high blood pressure is curable, their diabetes is curable / reversible, or the word that is currently used, put into remission. All of these are made to happen conditions that can largely be made to unhappen at about the 90 to 95% level. These things all come from what people do, and if they don't do them, then the disorder does not occur. I began to think this way in 1970 when I received, I tell the same story over. I was in the Air Force at that time up at Westover as the New England cardiology consultant. And because I was no longer in my training, I received these like Village Voice, but medical newspapers. And they had fabulous information that you did not get in the traditional medical literature, Annals of Internal Medicine, Journal of the American College of Cardiology, American Journal of Cardiology, Circulation Research, Lancet, New England Journal of Medicine, JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association. And that's when I first read about the 80-10-10 diet, which is 80% carbohydrate, 10% protein, and 10% fat. Now, that is not exactly where I am now, but I'm pretty much there. What they found out is that cultures, indigenous populations that were forced to follow this diet because they hadn't developed other technology, had none of our diseases. They had no high blood pressure. They had no high cholesterol. They had no high triglycerides. They had no diabetes. They had no cancer of the breast, uterus, colon, prostate, pancreas, et cetera, et cetera. So I said, well, maybe we should mimic what they do. And if you took a look at those populations, they were all lean and trim, 85+% organic, unprocessed, whole foods, vegan, at the 90% level, 90% of the populations, 10% were a little bit different one way or the other. For instance, in Hungary, they ate a fair amount of yogurt, and in the Eskimo areas, obviously they ate more animal protein, but still they had the same cholesterol by a combination of diet and exercise and so on. By the way, my TV is on in the background, and I'm seeing the chaos that my fellow Democrats have supported in Los Angeles. It is so disappointing. The ICE agents have arrested people who've already been through federal court and been found to be guilty of whatever they were charged with. In other words, the ICE agents are following the law, and those people who are rioting and creating all the chaos are supported in the wrong illegal direction, setting fire to cars, burning tires, throwing stones. This should not be tolerated. This is unacceptable chaos. Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, and Newsom, the governor of California, are behaving ridiculously by opposing federal law that basically says these people have already had their trial date and are now ready to be deported, and therefore are arrested by the ICE agents. Cory Booker is so silly saying he's going to unmask uh, the federal agents who are carrying out federal law. Well, enough of that. Getting back to disease prevention. So, what is it that makes diseases occur? Well, there are 5 basic activities. What we breathe, like those who are doing marijuana has been found to increase the risk of heart attack and hardening of the arteries, as well as predispose to mental conditions. The marijuana now, I believe, is 30% THC, whereas in the 60s and 70s, it was like 3%. So it's much more potent now than it used to be. Breathe, we're supposed to wear masks in dusty circumstances. And if you live near a major 4-lane highway, then you should probably have an air filtration system where you work as well as at your home. Breathe, drink. What is the human body supposed to drink? Now, go back 10 or 15,000 years and think what was available. Was tea available? Maybe, but probably not. We are supposed to drink water and weak herb tea sort of at the strongest. And I always get asked about alcohol and coffee. The body will tolerate almost anything to a point. So I believe the body will tolerate, without causing adversity, 2 and maybe 3 cups of coffee a day. Now, ideal is not to drink coffee every day. I understand what happens when you start drinking it. You get in the habit and then you get dependent on it. So cut it back to maybe 1 or 2 cups a day, 1 day a week, and then 1 or 2 cups a day on another day of the week, and then gradually work it down to the point where you're drinking coffee only 5 days a week. We do drink green tea and water and white tea, green tea and white tea. And there's nothing wrong with drinking water. My advice about drinking altogether is drink when you're thirsty. Breathe, drink, eat. The human biology, whether you and I like it or not, and this becomes the problem, is essentially 85% organic, unprocessed, whole foods, vegan. And it's simply not arguable. Do it or don't do it as you see fit. But there's a book out now called The Body Keeps the Score. And that is the truth. Your body knows everything you do. And then you run the risk of being paid for not doing what your body requires of you. Sorry about the uhs. So 85% ideally organic and unprocessed whole foods vegan, brown rice, vegetables, beans, fruit, nuts, and seeds. Beans as your protein. If you want some protein powder, 1, maybe 2 scoops a day at the most. If you're heavily exercising, you will need more protein. I say animal protein will be tolerated by the human body up to 3 times a week if you're exercising a great deal. And if you're sort of the average normal person who's not really exercising a great deal, 1 to 2 times a week. There is no need to eat animal protein at all. Do as you will, your body keeps the score. So if you don't want to risk seeing physicians, going on medicines, having procedures, angioplasty, open heart surgery, stents, breast surgery, colon surgery, et cetera, then play the game by the biologic rules. For the 10th time, the body keeps the score. So breathe, drink, eat, exercise. How much exercise should we do? Well, those same indigenous populations, pre-technological cultures that I mentioned to begin with, are physically active, doing some kind of quote work, quote. No, I did it again. 85 to 90% of the day. So they have what are called abdominal clear lines of definition and demarcation. It is not a percent body fat. It is not a BMI. It is the absence of fat on the abdomen as the proper goal. And some people will say, oh, I'll never get there. So say what you will, just try to get as close as you can on all of these things. I forgot to discuss alcohol under drink. I believe, first of all, I know that one drink a day in men and even less in women is cancer causing. Alcohol affects the brain, the heart, the liver, and the bone marrow in any dose. But what dose would be likely inconsequential, unimportant? And my guess on that is 4 glasses of wine or 4 bottles of beer a week or 4 shots of whiskey. It's not like I'm encouraging those. I'm saying that the body will probably safely tolerate those unless you have some reason not to drink at all. I would never encourage an ex-alcoholic or a current alcoholic to have, well, I might encourage a current alcoholic who's drinking more to reduce it to 4 drinks a week. But if you have an alcohol problem, you probably should abstain. Breathe, drink, eat, exercise. And then the last major risk factor is unrealistic expectations. Life is difficult. Have the humility to accept those difficulties and not wish for things to be different from what they are. Wishing, wanting, and hoping are as dangerous as alcohol when they go too far. They're a good idea up to a point, but beyond a very limited point, they become dangerous and the origin of much anxiety and depression. Have the humility to persevere through difficulties as best you can. And then, of course, obviously, accept the consequences. So those are the 5 basic errors. Now, I want to refer you to the website, www.thepmc.org, thepmc.org. That stands for the Preventive Medicine Center.org. www.P as in push, M as in Mary, C as in cat, www.thepmc.org. And on the right-hand side of that homepage, by the way, do it on a computer because cell phones somehow get it wrong, unless you scroll way down. Look for the 5-1-25 grand rounds. This is a new video that shows the incredibly intelligent and correct William Spear, who takes the first 18 minutes, and then I begin thereafter and continue for the remainder of an hour. www.thepmc.org. Go to the 5-1-25 grand rounds. There's also a previous grand rounds, 12-7-23, which is very good. And there's going to be a new one, not right away, that will be even better than both of those two. But there's a ton of data and information on the prevention and reversibility of diseases. A friend of mine asked me to see a friend of his who was admitted to a hospital that I went and saw. And the hospital was having a hard time controlling his high blood pressure. I happened to be in the room when his dinner was served. His dinner was served New England clam chowder, which is very salty, and he had a hamburger also, which was made with a fair amount of salt. The point being is, here's a man with a stroke who has difficult to control high blood pressure, who is on an essentially unlimited sodium diet, as salt does cause hypertension. Well, the nurse was in the room as I was going over this, and one of the remarks she made was that his cholesterol was not elevated. Now, I'll make up numbers, but they are approximately correct. Total cholesterol 174, HDL good cholesterol 35, we'll say 34. So that is a non-HDL cholesterol of 140. So what's a non-HDL cholesterol? Take the total cholesterol, subtract the good cholesterol, And if you take away just the good, that leaves you with all of the bad. Well, that's what you need to know. What is all of the bad? It's not just the LDL cholesterol, which is called the bad cholesterol. It's also IDL and VLDL, which adds about 15 to 30 on the LDL. So total minus good gives you all of the bad cholesterol. And his number was, what did I say, 174, take away 34, 140. Average for a heart attack is 150, and she thought his cholesterol was fine. The safe cholesterol in a walking well person, which this patient was not, just had a stroke, is total cholesterol minus HDL cholesterol, called non-HDL cholesterol, needs to be 90 or less. Now, if you have had any atherosclerotic problem, such as heart attack or stroke, then it needs to be even lower. It needs to be 75. I published this information in 1990 and in 2003 in first Lancet and then the American Journal of Cardiology. And obviously, it didn't have a whole lot of impact. But this is old information that has been known for forever, and still it's not widely accepted, recognized within even the hospital setting, with physicians and nurses overseeing. So a bit of good news. St. Francis Hospital is going to begin to offer the fecal immune globin testing. It's called FIT, which is very good at identifying cancer of the colon. The old guaiac tests are not really a good idea, are not as effective as the FIT, I did it again, fecal immune test, FIT. So I recommend that if you are concerned about detecting cancer of the colon, which by the way occurs because of what we breathe, drink, eat, exercise, and allow ourselves to think, you may say, wait a minute, what's thinking got to do with it? I don't know that, but I always include it. So it's certainly related probably to what we breathe, in other words, cigarettes. Drink, probably related to alcohol. Eat, definitely related to the standard Western animal protein processed food, standard white breads, even what's called wheat bread. Diet. Breathe, drink, eat, exercise. There's no doubt that exercise affects immunity. And then unrealistic expectations in the sense that people think they can get away with what they're doing. And the fact of the matter, they can't, because back to that book, the body keeps the score. It is a kind of Russian roulette that we're all playing, and the gun is loaded. Some people will get away with it, and some people will not. It is the very reason healthcare costs are so high, is because there is so much disease within the United States. There wouldn't be so much disease in the United States if we had the food quality of Europe and exercised more and had a lower percent body fat and so on. And I do believe that the mental status figures into all of these conditions. What mental status am I talking about? I've already discussed it. Have the humility to accept the difficulties of life. Thank God things are not worse than they are. And then persevere through the difficulties with humility. You can overcome things. All right. Now, where are we? Oh, my goodness. We only have a few more minutes. So, talking to people of West Hartford, I think that the West Hartford government made a mistake tearing up the sidewalk on LaSalle. Those trees were beautiful. Now, maybe they're going to put them back. I don't really know what the purpose was, but it looks like a mess and seems to be going slowly. On the other hand, it's possible that I'm wrong. I just feel that Connecticut as a whole, do you know who's the largest employer? What industry in Connecticut is the largest employer? Turns out the Connecticut state government is the largest employer, and they keep giving perks in order to retain the voting of those employees. I know some very even-handed people who are completely dedicated to voting in these Democrat policies, even though they result in higher taxes, a fleeing of industry from Connecticut, unbelievable cost of Connecticut. Connecticut is a beautiful state. I love it. I think that it's so attractive. It has so many benefits, although it's not really close to New York unless you live downstate a bit. And then it's not that far time-wise from Boston. I don't really go to Boston or New York that often. I ought to, but I'm kind of an old stay-at-home kind of guy. Now, oh, I did it again. What? Oh, today I'm going to go to my favorite West Hartford restaurant, which I'd like to give a little pitch for, because it does have a number of vegetarian, whole food alternatives. Sometimes I eat fish when I go out, and sometimes I'll have a bite of somebody else's meat. Oh, I'm doing it again. Up, up, up. So Artisans in the Delamar Hotel is my favorite restaurant. I also like Harvest. I think Brico is very well designed, but I'm just not attracted to their menu. Max's Oyster is too noisy for me. And then if you're into pizza, I think the Max Pizza place is good. And I don't know about the Max Burger or whatever. I can't remember the last time I had a burger. But once again, I did the So breathe, drink, eat, exercise, and unrealistic expectations. A bit of humility, please. I find that the arguments politically are not based on common sense. And even though Republicans and Trump administration is claiming common sense, this argument between Trump and Musk is ridiculous. I think Musk is trying to make up things a little bit. I think Trump is being silly. I am a Democrat and I am not a Trump fan, but I certainly support the vast majority of the Trump policies because the policies are within the law. They are the very reason that he was elected. And my fellow party Democrats have a 20% popularity because they are on the wrong side of history and the public does not agree with their thinking. So I think that's time to finish up. We're getting there. Last couple of minutes. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, H. Robert Silverstein, MD. That's my notice. The time is up. H. Robert Silverstein, MD, 1000 Asylum, number 2109, Hartford, CT 06105. And this is H. Robert Silverstein, MD, for the Preventive Medicine Center and West Hartford Public Access TV. I would like to thank David Petrella, who is unusually polite and friendly and very helpful with me in getting this started and continuing. So good day and God bless you. Thank goodness for the rain and the cooler weather because summer is surely coming. I believe it used to start on July 1st and end August 15th, but that old pattern has been somewhat shattered. So do enjoy the great weather while we have it. Looking forward to seeing you next month. Good day and God bless you all.